I'm pleased if the reports I've heard is that CASA are now going to go to the NAS system as used in the United States. For a start, I can't see why they wouldn't do that, because the NAS system is present government policy. Anyone who's ever flown in the United States, especially at Class D airports like Bankstown, just know how fantastic it is. Everything is very simple. If you keep things simple, you can comply. I don't think in all my flying in the United States I've ever been held outside some airspace. They facilitate to get you through as simply as they can, whereas in Australia, I remember in my flight around the world in the helicopter, I got held at two places, Darwin and at Williamtown, because of our unique procedures. The NAS airspace was supposed to be in over 2 years ago, and one of the points of NAS was to change from our GAAP procedures to the US Class D procedures. They encourage aircraft to come in randomly, in effect from 360 different directions, and that means you're not creating collision points. I'd even written to the Office of Airspace Regulation at CASA pointing out the problem of these VFR reporting points, but I was ignored. Now people have died, no doubt we'll make the change. In regard to the limit that's been put on of 6 aircraft in the circuit, I've been in touch with the United States. They have no such limit. They let the air traffic controller make the decision. One of the difficulties I see is if you limit to 6 in the circuit, that means you're going to end up holding people outside the Class D zone, and then you increase the chance of a collision. But I think John McCormick is, first of all, he had to react when the Ambigi report said that Bankstown Airport didn't meet the required safety levels. I happen to believe the Ambigi report is false. I think the type of safety study they do is not accurate. In my experience, Bankstown has had 40 years with one mid-air. That makes it one of the safest, busiest airspaces in the world. I fly everything from helicopters to single-pilot jet operations into Bankstown, and as long as we go to the US-style Class D, which is actually what they use in New Zealand and Canada, it will be better for everyone. One of the problems is that people resist change. And what I can't understand, my business success, I have a nice helicopter. Now I was able to pay for that because I went around the world asking for advice and copying the best. But when it comes to aviation, so many of our people, pilots, air traffic controllers, just don't want to know what happens overseas. Sort of it wasn't built here syndrome. Whereas the best thing we can do is to look around the world, things like the Class D procedures they use in the USA, copy them, because we'll be able to get the cost down and we'll be able to get the safety up. You copy where they've had the experience. Remember, in the USA, there's 15 times the density of traffic in about the same land area and the most terrible weather conditions. And their current collision rate is not 15 times worse than ours. So actually, pro rata, we're worse collision rate wise than the United States. That's why we should copy a really good system.